Hi, this is Julian for Production Expert. And Gullfoss, how do you use it? It's an adaptive mastering equalizer that does a load of clever stuff that I've tried to understand and I've honestly given up. So we're not going to worry about that too much. But what it can do is amazing. Here I've got an example. It's got a soprano saxophone and it's kind of taking over a little bit. It's sounding a little bit heavy, sort of kind of the thickness of it's taking over. I could deal with that with some conventional EQ, but in Gullfoss, what we've got is we've got two main controls. We've got recover and we've got tame. What Gullfoss does really superficially is it sorts out clashes between frequencies. And you can either bring up the level of the things that are getting overwhelmed using recover, or you can bring down the level of the things that are doing the overwhelming using tame. It's a good idea for reasons that I don't understand, but Soundtheory say it's a good idea to kind of try to split the load evenly between the recover side and the tame side. But you don't have to, and it's interesting to listen to the effect of both of them along the way. So that's what I'll do now. I'll wind up recover. I'll take it up quite high to begin with. Okay. And that's doing what it's supposed to, really, because what I'm hearing is that it's kind of letting those drums, particularly, and the whole soundstage kind of come through a little more, but not at the expense of the saxophone. Now, that saxophone, we'll get rid of that to begin with, and we'll just wind in some tame and see what the opposite of that process is. Again, take it up quite high. Over 100%, things might start to get a bit unnatural. Oh yeah, and can you hear what that's doing to that saxophone? And these cuts, especially through the mid-range, this is really good on mid-range stuff. And it's really helping a lot. Now, I think that's a little heavy-handed. We'll take it down to about 50% on each. And we'll see what a combination of the two does. Okay. That's impressive. Perhaps getting a little bit airy, over airy, a little bit bright. You can actually monitor that down here. What this here is it's a brightness control. Not a control, it's a meter, and it'll indicate if it's indicating something in this direction, then the overall effect of the process is brightening, and if it's the other way, it's darkening. And here we've got similar meters that show the relative amounts of either recovery or taming. And here we can see we're definitely taming more than we're recovering, and we're brightening more than we're darkening. And you've got some secondary controls to sort that out. The bias control can either bias towards recovery or towards recovery or towards taming. And if you get that around about in the middle, that's a good place to be, although obviously adjust to taste. And the same with brightening. And if your net result is around about 0, that's probably a good place to be. So these are called secondary controls because they don't do anything until you've got some recovery or taming dialed in. So boost's kind of like a loudness control. So what it does is it kind of imposes the effect of Fletcher-Munson curves. We're more sensitive to mid-range and less sensitive to extreme bass and extreme treble. So if you want to wind some of those in, then you'll get a flatter response at lower levels. But also smiley EQ. I mean, who doesn't like that? And the opposite favouring the mid-range. So what am I going to do? I think we'll go slightly heavier on the recovery. I'm preferring the sound of the recovery over the taming. The taming's really important, but if you go too far, it does tend to thin things out a bit too much on this particular example. Bias. This biasing towards or away, we probably going a little heavy on that. We'll leave it somewhere like that. And brightening, we wanted to kind of dull things down slightly because the net effect was kind of brightening more than darkening. We'll have a little bit of that boost in as well, actually. So I don't know, where should we go? Somewhere around about around about here. Okay, so without, and then and it's not just about removing that kind of resonance out of the saxophone. It's lightening everything and letting the rest of the recording through. Possibly got some more tweaking to do here, but we're certainly ballpark on these two figures. If it's a little too bright, you can use these processing limit kind of, they're not really filters, they're just setting a boundary to which parts of the spectrum it should affect. So here, for example, we're leaving the top and the bottom pretty much alone, but still letting that sort of magic processing happen on the mid-range. These do actually overlap, so if I pull that one this way and that one this way, we can exclude the mid-range, which is kind of interesting. We're not going to do that in this case. I do find, if you're finding things are getting too bright, rather than using the brighten control, you can actually just use this to limit the processing and avoid areas you want left alone. But anyway, there we go. That is Gullfoss and what you can do with it on a typical stereo recording. I think this is amazing, just because it does stuff that I can't think of another tool that does exactly what Gullfoss does. I'm not going to try to explain how it does it, but that's what it does and how to approach doing it. And if you follow those ballpark rules and then adjust to taste, you're going to get some great results. So yeah, Gullfoss.